Hello again, and welcome back to my tutorials. So today we're gonna talk about dependencies and the gradle.properties file, which is this one right here. So last time I showed this, but there's nothing much here except for this one line, which is for Gradle to give some RAM. Basically tell how much RAM it's allowed to use to build and set up things and, etc. Now, what else can this file be used for? Well, basically it's used for replacing things like versions and directories and whatever in here. So why is it useful? Because here it's a little bit easier to overview what you have to change. So how do we use this? Well, first of all, think of a good name that you could use for each variable. For example, this is the version of your mod, so probably you want to use something like mod version is, and here we say 1.0.0, right? And then we copy this variable here, only the name, and instead of this we delete this and say $, brace open, brace closed, and the variable name inside. Here it's gonna say that this cannot be resolved, and here it's gonna say it's not used, but that's not true. It's just saying that because it doesn't know how to properly find it, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. What else can we change? Well, for example, here we have this here, right? The Forge version, but it's split in two parts, which is Minecraft version and the Forge version itself. So that's what you're going to do. Here we say Minecraft version is 1.12.2 and Forge version is whatever this is. Okay, there we go. And again, we delete this part. Say $, brace open, MC version, brace closed, dash, again $, brace open, Forge version, brace closed. Here we can also change the mappings, but be careful. Well, it's not specific to mappings, but actually this is the second take of tutorial. Previously I wrote mappings is this, and then used this name in here, right? Made sense. Mappings. But turns out you can't use the same names here as these are. So don't use anything that is just version or just mappings, anything here. So what I did to change it is change mappings version and to use that in here. Well, that's about it for the Gradle properties file, right? So here you can see it's easier to overview all of the numbers you need to change. For example, the mod version, you can just update it here to 1.0.2, to 5, etc. Let's just leave that to 0. The Minecraft version and Forge version, easier to change it from here rather than to look for that here. That's easy enough. Let's test it out. We just run setup.decomp workspace and see if that works. Okay, it's done. And build successful, and it's all right. And let's try to build our mod. Now this is going to create a jar of our mod, which you can use in the actual Minecraft. See, build successful, and it should take this number and this name and put them together. Let's check it out. Build libs. There it is. It's perfect and it works. Okay, moving on to dependencies. Dependencies are other mods you want to include in your mod, but only for the programming time. You don't actually want to include those files inside your mod files, because then they might conflict, or you might just have license restricting you from using that mod inside yours. That's called shading, by the way, and it's not really a great thing to do. Usually your plugins and add-ons and whatever to other mods can be done without including the other mods files inside yours. So, and if can't, then that's probably a bad design. So how do we include these? First of all, we create a new block called repositories. See? And another one called dependencies. There we go. Repositories are locations of those other mod files, and dependencies are those other mod files, including their version and name. There are commonly two types of repositories, Maven and Ivy. Maven is the popular one because it's easier to use and easier to set up usually, but Ivy is used in cases when Maven is not available, or in case you are downloading a direct file from somewhere. A Maven repository example would be, let's say, progs Maven, right here. So to include this repository, we simply copy this path, add it in a Maven. URL is this one. There we go. That should be good. So say we want to include JI dependency. So first of all, we look up just enough items on how to actually use the API. So usually it's explained here how to include the dependency. So here we see that there's two repositories here. One is the main one is the backup. We already have included the main one. You don't need the name parameter here, it's not really useful. So basically the main one is a URL. So let's copy this one into here. There we go. Now you can see it uses two properties. MC version, which we already have defined, which is 112.2, and JI version, which we don't have. So let's create a new one. JI version is, and now we carefully select which version do we want to. So we go to the Maven and look up which is the latest version, because that's probably what you want to use. And be careful to use the 112.2 version. So here we go, 4.8.0.111. So that's what we're going to use here. Paste, and that should be good. Let's check again with setup decomp workspace. You're going to use that a lot if you deal with dependencies. So now let's just wait for a minute. There we go, build successful, and let's not forget to refresh external project. Okay, let's check it out. You should see in this project structure here, sheet modules, Minecraft, or the tutorial mod. This Minecraft, you probably won't see it if you don't have the plugin installed, but I don't recommend using that for basic setups. So anyway, let's look for, oh, there it is, JEI compile. Okay, let's run our client here. Now we should have JEI in the environment present. So let's see if it actually is. Okay, as you can see, Minecraft loaded just fine, but JEI is not here. Why is that so? Because the API, yeah, I assume it installed API, does not contain the actual mod. Its API is only for, you know, creating plugins and the recipe things. So if we want the actual mod, we have to download it from typically CourseForge. So just enough items. We download the usual mod, like let's say files, let's just grab the latest one. There we go. Save file. Just a side note, apparently there were more files than there were actually needed here, so I deleted the rest. your Minecraft is inside this run directory right here. So this is like a normal mod pack thing. So if you download that mod and drag and drop it in the mods folder, right here, now when we run Minecraft, it should be present. There we go, 6 mods loaded, 6 mods active. We can see just enough items is here. There we go. And it all works. Anyway, you can have a lot of mods in your Minecraft environment, but I recommend to keep it to minimum. For example, just keep mods like just enough items or inventory tweaks, or something that just helps you to make mods easier, or rather test them easier. Because if you have a whole mod pack in your mods folder, then it's just gonna be really slow starting time, and reloading textures is gonna be long, and it's just gonna be annoying, really. So keeping mods to minimum is a good idea, probably. And that's about it from dependencies, mods, and gradle.properties. So now I'm just gonna answer some of the questions which have been asked to me. Okay, the first one is about Kotlin. Kotlin is a language which compiles to bytecode, same thing as Java. So you can use it for modding, but I don't recommend it personally because, well, I don't like it in modding, and I don't really like it in general, to be honest. But I don't like it in modding because it kind of divides the community, because you have mostly Java developers and then some Kotlin developers, and it's harder to get help for like when you have a problem, because you can't really ask anyone if there's just Java developers all around. And the same goes with, the other way. You can't ask for help when there's only Kotlin developers around. And personally, I think that, just using Java should be just fine. At least I'm not gonna be, explaining how to do, or not gonna answer Kotlin questions. Next up, schedule. So at first I was thinking weekly videos, like every Monday or something, but that's just way too painful for simple things, because I want to keep the video length to minimum. I don't want to include like 7 things in one video. I did for this one because these things are kinda really related to each other, and it would be silly to explain just the properties and that's it. But now I'm thinking three videos per week, maybe. I was thinking Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but we'll see how that goes. So next up we got YouTube comments. I have re-enabled the comments for the tutorial videos, but those are gonna be the only ones, I think, because, or at least something with series is gonna have comments, because I typically don't like YouTube comments, mostly because I don't know why, they're just bad. Usually they're just bad, and they don't make a good conversation, and that I would be alright with that, but I really hate how YouTube sorts comments. I really like how Reddit does it. It does it alright, that the highest, or at least the best comments are on top, and the worst comments are on the bottom, right? Like it should be usually. And YouTube also, you can get comments on like 5 years old video, and then you're like, wait, this doesn't even exist anymore. And Reddit automatically archives posts after, I think, 6 months, so you can't comment on anything older than 6 months, which should be alright, because Minecraft versions change often enough, and maybe the information I explain in these videos won't be valid after 1.13. Well, it definitely won't be for blocks and block states, but maybe for other things too. I don't know, right? So, yeah. I just don't like YouTube comments, that's what I'm saying. next up we got written tutorials. So I'm thinking I'm gonna write some parts of the tutorials. They're definitely gonna be on GitHub after I explain how to link your mod with GitHub, right? Which is gonna be, I think, the third video, maybe. So the next one, probably. I don't really like writing tutorials, but I know most of you prefer to read rather than listen to my voice, I guess. So I'm gonna try to make written tutorials, but I don't promise anything. I guess it just doesn't make sense for the first few tutorials. Wow, this looks good. And because it's mostly visual things. What's that sound? Anyway, yeah, it's mostly visual things, and you kind of have to see which buttons to press, you know, which scripts to run, and all that. But yeah, as soon as actual code starts, which is, I think, let me check. Yeah, I think the 5th or 6th tutorial. Yeah, from then on, I'm just gonna start writing down at least some basic notes, I guess, or at least I'm gonna link to someone else's tutorial explaining that. Say Forge. Forge also has some good documentation. And yeah, that's it from my list. So yeah, thank you for watching, and see you next time.